Still waiting. We're live now. Countdown. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mother's Place. Yes, we are here live today. We have a very special guest with, yes, she is a gift because the topic that we're going to talk about today is so awesome. Yes, yes, yes. This is Shayna Asby, the Mother's Place. We're with the Mother's Place, where we educate, structure, and realign and equip mothers in order to stand strong and to be strengthened. So today I have a very special guest with us today by the name of Miss Joya Santiago. And today our topic is going to be reproductive justice. So at this time, let me tell you, this woman right here, I've been knowing her for a while, a long time,
Mhm.
and I'm so grateful that she's basically in my life and for an opportune, a Kairos moment as this. So I want her to introduce herself.
Peace, y'all. First of all, it's an honor to be with you again, sharing space, even if it's cyberspace.
Oh Lord.
A lot of powerful things going on, and like our impetus to the next phase of our lives is happening at the same time, and that's even more dynamic. And that's a synchronicity that I cannot ignore. Like, all right, we're doing something now. It's business
Yes,
time. It's happening.
you're right.
It's happening all over. Mhm.
Right. So you just introduce yourself and tell them who you are, Mama Joya.
Well, I'm Mama Joya, Joya Santiago. I have many names, and you know them. But right now, my focus is my nonprofit, Earthlight Health and Holistic Wellness, and our prime objective, and that is maternal and infant health, because that's the beginning. Mother is the first teacher, mother is the first doctor, mother is the first lawyer, mother is God, especially to her children. Now, I'm not here to debate it, Father God, Mother God. I'm a universalist. I'm just here to deliver this message that's coming through me, and it's not a verbal message, really. It's an action. It's something that's happening, and I'm allowing myself to be a divine channel for this divine energy that's taking place. And Shayna resonated with that, and it's coming through her, and so we are united and doing our works in the earth together.
Whew, that part. That was so awesome. I am so ecstatic about this show today. Our topic today is reproductive justice. If anybody saw my Facebook page, and at this time, I'm going to go ahead and share this on other pages as well. If anybody saw my Facebook page, you would know what reproductive justice is. Bear with me one moment. Let me go ahead and get that up here.
So while you do that, I'll talk about Bond.
Go ahead.
That's our first program that we've moved forward to the people with. And Bond, BOND, it stands for Babies Open New Doors. It's a maternal and infant vitality program. And we're starting off with these mother support circles. We have one here in North Alabama where I live in Huntsville. Today was our first meeting, so it was pivotal. It's the spring equinox, and we popped off on the equinox. Next weekend, we're going to be having the Bond Mother Support Circle in Atlanta at the I Am Ascension Temple of Love. What an appropriate place. And we're taking this thing, we playing it to the hilt. We're doing this in Detroit, everywhere. Everywhere there's an interest for mothers uniting in the best interest of ourselves and our families, Bond will be there.
Okay, I went ahead and I shared it on different pages
Okay.
because I want to make sure that you understand what reproductive justice is. I believe that every woman, every female, every girl should be able to see this message and actually talk about it or have something to say about it. And this affects us all as women, no matter like what age you are, no matter what color you are, it doesn't matter what religion you carry. It doesn't matter. But being a female, being a woman, this matters. This matters. Reproductive justice is the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. Reproductive justice. So I'm going to ask you, Mama Joya, when you hear what I've just described as reproductive justice, or just the words reproductive justice, what does that mean to you?
It means an end to womb snatching. It means an end to womb poisons, toxins, womb poisons in the form of toxic relationships, food addictions, being out of control of our children, our creations. Reproductive justice, we can go on and on. Because how we have, men now able soon, they say, to have children, and how we have so many missing black women, and there's no accountability for that, you know and how we have every time you go into the OBGYN, oh, we need to take this, we need to take that. When this body is a miracle, and it is given the right atmosphere, environment, it will self-heal. So we're not allowed to talk about these things. I'm banned and blocked on Facebook now. Why? Because I shared a flyer about a female rites of passage program I created for girls ages 6 through 12, but I'm soliciting sexual nudity and all kinds of things they accuse me of. Nah. But I'm not gonna let that stop me from doing the work.
Right. Oh my God. There's so many things that we can talk about when it comes to reproductive justice. You mentioned so many different topics. You talked about toxic relationships and how that is, that hurts the womb. We talked about, you were just, mentioning how environment plays a part on the womb. You also talked about the missing black women that we have had, and this is true. We have had a lot of missing black women, and so
Mhm.
within that, what is going on?
I'll
So
say
let's.
this, yeah. I was one of those missing black women. I was kidnapped. I was taken to the white van. I escaped. A lot of us aren't given that opportunity, or we don't take the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I heard a voice in my head say, I'm going to save you, but you're going to have to try to save yourself. And that's when I reached for the door. The car door was unlocked, and I ran for my life in the snow with no shoes on, no clothes on. You understand? So, womb justice. Let's talk about the spirit of the womb. Let me back it up real quick. I learned later in my life that the womb has a consciousness. The womb feels. I lost my first husband to violence. The police killed him when I was 28 years old. And that's the first time I could say I felt my womb cry. I didn't know what was happening at the time, but when I was reflecting on all that happening, that feeling that I had, that's what that was. So when we talk about triple womb consciousness, the womb of our mind, the womb of our heart, and our physical wombs, it's a whole lot of work there. And I think that's why, like Elijah Muhammad said, 90% of the work is with the women. Yeah, we have a great responsibility that we shouldn't shirk. We should stand up in it. That's why I say it's Big Mama time, because we calling back our children, because the mother, Big Mama, is calling us to task. It's getting our attention by any means necessary.
Mm, just dig that. Like, oh my God, womb consciousness, understanding that the womb cries, understanding that even as we're pregnant and we're creating, that we're connected to the womb and that the baby feels everything that we feel, that there's a feeling. Elevating to a state of understanding that we're connected. We're connected to everything and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that is definitely a powerful statement within itself. So the first topic can we talk about today? What would like the first one you want to talk about today as far as reproductive justice? My thing is with reproductive justice is safe and sustainable environments for our community. I feel like, here we are, we're people, we're in this earth, and especially in the African American community, but we do not feel safe within our own environments when it comes to our children. A lot of things has happened with, whether it was the George Floyd situation, whether it's the school shootings, all these different things have been happening, and our children have been affected tremendously about it. So
Yeah.
not just us ourselves, but our children have been affected,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's mentally, whether it's physically, whether it's spiritually, and it creates an unsafe environment. Like we should not have a whole bunch of discussions or a whole bunch of movies that actually, talk about how we feel as black mothers. It shouldn't even be a situation if we're living our lives as God wants us to, dealing with human rights. Because
Hmm.
we should be able to have a safe community where our sons and our daughters thrive.
Yeah.
They should be thriving without fault because their lives are necessary.
Hmm.
Their lives are important on this earth instead of being emasculated. And so
Hmm.
the things that have I feel like that has went on recently have emasculated a lot of our young black boys. There's more suicides amongst the population with African American boys. There's self-esteem, counseling. There's more. Anytime you see a lot more grants, I know it's a situation.
Yeah,
A lot of situations.
absolutely.
But let's talk about this, about
Well,
the environment.
the way I
And
look at it, this society is diametrically opposed, and I'm talking about Western society, American society, diametrically opposed to a so-called black man being a man and manifesting as a man. And a lot of times sisters don't see because we're looking at it like, dang, you ain't got your half of the rent, or that we don't realize how much harder it is for them to make it in corporate society or to even get a regular job because they're targeted by the police, but from the time they hit puberty. And so some of them have a little background, in the criminal justice situation, and they never really recover. Some of grown men don't have their birth certificate. I mean, it's simple thing. Don't have a social security card. Not to say that we need these things or we should have them, but I'm saying as far as getting a job or a supportive man that's creating work. You know what I'm saying? We have to do those things. But no, the society is not set up for that, because if that happens, it's not going to be their society anymore. It'll be our autonomous society again. And that's a direct threat to the powers that be.
wow, it's so funny that you even talk about that because we can sit up here and we can talk about because we see it every day about what's going on inside of our African American communities when it comes to our young boys and when it comes to our black men, which is a direct impact that deals with reproductive justice. I was talking to someone today and I talked about as you know, we as in within the African American family have been, we are going through a new walk in life. We're understanding who we are, but at the same time of understanding who we are, it's like a new day and we're coming forward. So within that process, we're understanding everything that has happened to us in the past. And some of us are doing the healing work, some of us are not. Some of us are still in the process of waking up. Some of us have not woke up.
Yeah.
But what I've been running into a lot lately is a lot of women, wives and mothers, who are hurt at what happened with them in relationships. And one of the things that I talk to them about is understanding that when we come together, we're individual first. We're
That's right.
coming together to become one in a marriage. And with that marriage, we're supposed to hold true to that marriage, right? Meaning that we hold true to that, meaning that I work out, we're gonna work out our problems, even that we have individually together.
Hmm.
But some things have happened and now it's causing us to separate from that man, or and that woman to separate from that man, or that man to separate from that woman because of them not really healing themselves or being healed from past situations that they're bringing into their current environments. So
Hmm.
I was telling a young lady today that we have to learn how to forgive them because they too were broken.
Yeah. Yeah. And forgive ourselves first.
That part, yes.
And that's why I mean, I had to be honest with myself because trying to be single, I was married at 21 and I didn't really know how to be single. I'm like, okay, I'm in love, let's do this. You know, Inside, I'm not even myself yet because I'm still dealing with the broken part of me and what I lost and how to grieve and mourn and how to be a family, just me and my children, me and my shorties. So yeah, that was it was difficult. And the healing is continuing. I'm 44, no shame. I'm not in a relationship right now. Um, I do have suitors, but I'm not rushing because I've done that and that doesn't work. Because at this stage of the game, Joya is building. Joya is making moves. Joya has a plan, and I have to respect where brothers may be. So if it don't go like this, we ain't supposed to do it. And it's less about lust and love is love. Love is there. but it's more about how productive am I with this person? Are we building in the opposite direction? You know, I need you to give me 5 seconds off camera so they can go buy some food. I got my purse up here.
Okay, okay. I'll go ahead. So, as you see, guys, we are definitely here. We're talking about reproductive justice. We're talking about how important it is to understand who we are as a people, especially in the African and American community, and how a lot of things that has happened within society, dealing with George Floyd, dealing with the communities, dealing with the school system, the school shootings, how they have actually created a situation or they have directly or indirectly affected us as a people. And we also are also talking about how we as a people have become broken and that we have to get this understanding of our individual selves so we can be better stewards for our family. And so that means that it's self-healing, understanding our past pain, facing that past pain in order to go forward within life. This is something that we have to do, but we also have to take the time to do it. And what I realized that in this community, a lot of mothers and a lot of us as mothers, we don't have time. We don't have time to cry. We don't have time to grieve. We don't have time to bring a baby into this earth. We don't have time to bond with baby. We don't have time to bond with each other. We don't have time to build relationships with our children because they're always at school or we're always at work. We don't have time. And so this conversation today dealing with reproductive justice is one of those shifting moments of understanding that we have a serious situation because we want to win in this world. We want to win in this life. We want to win, and winning is seeing our children win. So anything that affects our children from winning should be a serious situation for all females across the board. And as I see it, there are situations that have affected our children traumatically. That means that a lot of our children have been traumatized. Not only have our children been traumatized, but we have also been traumatized in this community as well. And so now we have Mama Joya who's going to come back on the screen and we're going to talk about some of those traumatic experiences that we have had within this community that affects reproductive justice because that is a part of reproductive justice. Anytime that I'm having situations with getting pregnant or situations with reproducing or situations with not wanting to have a child, we have many women now who don't even want to be mothers, who don't even want to have children. When we have people, this is a God-given right, meaning this is something that's spiritual that was given to us. This was something that was natural. Anytime we have somebody or something or some other entity that comes up across or against us in our natural element, it should be a problem. It should be a problem. So this right here is reproductive justice.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the aspect of reproductive justice and the water and how water, the politics of water, it represents reproductive justice. So without water, there is no life. You know, a child is conceived in water and nurtured in water. We need water for hygiene. We need water in our bodies to make sure nutrients get to where they're supposed to go and to clean our body. So if the water ain't right, the reproduction ain't right. So a lot of people don't know all that is involved with reproductive justice, and why we do need to get educated about it. We do need to organize as women first, women within our respective communities, to address some of these concerns as far as reproductive justice is concerned. I'm thinking about Flint, that whole crisis with the water and how that, affected reproductive justice, and how and low birth outcomes and the infant and maternal mortality ratios there. We have to address the cultural disparities that exist in birth. And it's by design. We have to know that when we talk about it, we have to know this is by design. Nothing just happens. There's history involved, there are politics involved, there are players involved. We are being exterminated. They're trying. I believe it's futile, but we need to act like we are at war. And I'm not talking about just with a people. I'm talking about principalities. I'm talking about principles. I'm talking about life over death, AI over livity, something that's alive and ambient. I'm a person. I'm an animated spirit, not just this flesh.
That's right. So when you talk about, oh, you hit on so many points. But when you talked about the water crisis and what happened in Flint, that was definitely a total direct hit for our youth. When we talk about Flint, Flint is in Michigan is mostly an African American community. We as a people, we as mothers, we should have been livid. We should have been outraged at what came down the pipeline when it came to understanding how toxic the water was. Because this was a direct hit. It was definitely a direct hit with us, and it's going on in so many more communities as far as how bad the water crisis was. So within that water crisis and what happened with the Flint situation, and because we know that there's so many different places that have water toxicity, what can we do as a community in order to better educate ourselves and better educate people about the toxicity of the water?
Well, they have reports, the water principalities in where you live. Here, I think it's called Harvest Monrovia. So they have reports about what's in the water. We're not drinking tap water, but we are bathing in it. We are cooking our food with it. We are washing our dishes in it. So here again, the answer is, to me, the only solution is finding some land with a group of people. I think you have a better chance of surviving if you're with a group of people, of like-minded individuals, and taking some autonomy with your water. There are different methods that we can purify water with: moringa leaves, charcoal, limestone. Like, it's a lot of content online about purifying water. It's a lot of people that are selling water, a lot of us that sell water, that have natural springs on their land. You have to know what type of water, because all alkaline water ain't good water, because it's put through a machine and ionized, and okay, it's still not, it's alkaline, but it's not organic. This is not a natural thing. We need to be drinking structured water.
So there's no way that we can actually, in this environment or in this society, kind of like push back to make sure that we are gaining the natural purities of water. Because what people don't really understand, because when you talked about the shower water and when you talked about all these things, is that 80% of what we put on our body falls in goes in our bloodstream. So
Directly.
that means that
Mm-hmm.
if it's not that we're just drinking the water, we're taking showers in this water, we're
Mm-hmm.
bathing in this water, that this water is still affecting the bloodstream because it's falling in there. So is there a way that we actually can go to our municipalities to push back to make sure that we have the best running water even in low income or underdeserved communities?
You can
Underserved communities?
always lobby politically, and organize for activism. That is, a viable option too. But where I am in my walk, I don't want to live like we've been living. I'm tired of this. I want to live on some land that I have some ownership in. I want to grow my own food. I want to dig wells for groundwater and purify that water. And who's to say that I want to live like that forever? I do, in my logical mind. And I'm not even, I believe all of us, we could walk away from this. The land is abundant, but we have to have some place to come to. And we have to start thinking like leaders, more of us. Because all my life, I consider myself, I've been a follower, because I never really challenged the options given. Like, oh, I'll just move to this neighborhood. It's nicer. The school system is better here. I'm sure the water is better because the people have more money here. That's not, that's putting a band-aid on a bullet wound to me. So we have to step into the shoes of self-sustainability now. We have to watch what we put into the earth, because what you put into the earth goes into the water. Yeah, we can protest these people. We could boycott. We could disenfranchise them. That's a step. Stop taking these money from these jokers. You know, stop giving them our money and start recycling our dollars through our own communities. That's a very powerful step. Somebody produce some damn paper, toilet paper, and some paper towel. Let's get practical with our freedom and our liberation. I would love to spend money with my own people for everything. because it's a lot of communities that live like that. But we haven't had a taste of that life because nobody told us that it's possible and that we could do it.
Wow. You just said a lot. You just
Word.
said a lot.
I
And
want to make sure we touch on something too about
yes,
as
we
far
can
as
go.
the justices.
Yes, go ahead.
Well,
Keep
you heard
going.
some of the stories. Now, I've had 5 home births, and I have had 3 hospital births. And you see how they do us. I'll talk about a good friend of mine went to the emergency room. She was pregnant. Come to find out, it's twins, ectopic pregnancies. So they say, okay, with an ectopic pregnancy, they have to take the fallopian tube, or you could lose your life. You probably will bleed to death. Well, she woke up and they had took everything. And this is a young, healthy woman that had 2 children already. You understand? So it's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. Say something happens during the course of pregnancy, and you lose your baby. The treatment that a lot of women get. I talked to a woman about a month ago. She was a client of mine. She said, I basically went home with a box. So there was no safety net for her mental health, for her physical needs, because she had to give birth to this baby that wasn't alive, but there was nothing. I remember when I had to get my first cut, a C-section. Now, the white women, they were giving these, they look like waist trainers things to, keep you together. Joya didn't get one. I had to ask for one. Other people didn't have to ask. I had to ask 3 times for something
Oh
that
my
should have been
goodness.
given, something they were getting from my insurance. They were getting money from the insurance anyway, but things like that. And we're dying having babies because we don't have a voice as a collective, and we're not respected because we have not demanded it as yet. So I'm tired of talking. That's where I'm with. I'm tired of talking. And I need to connect with other people who are tired of talking. Because whatever goes down out there, me and my children gonna survive this. No plan B.
I'm just so appalled even what you just said. Like you said a lot right here. First of all, you know, women not given time to grieve when they're having their baby stillborn. That's number one.
Mm-mm.
Going home with the box, number two. When you're having a baby with the C for with the by a C-section, and you're not giving wraps in order to get your body back into the right figure.
How
But
about I didn't even need a C-section? How many of us, they get way more money when you get a C-section? How about they took that option away from me and lied to me and accused me of being combative, which I am, and it got to the point these people keep coming in. They called the Department of Human Services on me because no, you're not finna give my baby a shot. No, we're not doing that.
mm,
No, I don't want a social security card. I'm not you, and everybody's coming at you at once. You have no privacy. And that's another way they take away your voice and your rights. Call who you want to call. I start throwing stuff. They left me alone. So it's gonna come down to you demanding your inalienable right to life. And that's what it's getting down to.
I just, I just thought about one of my first stories that was on, I believe it was on The Mother's Place, and it could have been another show I had called Transformative Shifts, where
Mhm.
we had a nurse who was on here and she talked about how she was having issues with getting pregnant, and she ended up getting pregnant with twins. Now, she was a nurse. She was actually a nurse there at the same hospital, and she went through a lot of issues with getting pregnant, complications, and she said just to be that person on the other side, having to be the person in the bed to think about what they may be thinking, the nurses coming in, or how they were acting, it kind of like put her in a different perspective
Mhm. Mhm.
when it comes to nurses. She was like, I thought about, are they going to go out there and laugh, talk, act that like this didn't happen, what just
Everything they've
happened.
been doing to other black women that
Right.
she's saying and not saying nothing necessarily.
Right. And it was just like, oh my God, because there comes a point in time where a lot of us, I'm pretty sure we've had those jobs where we had to make those decisions that best
Mhm.
benefited us for that time. And sometimes there's going to come times in our lives where we're going to have to walk away from those jobs that may affect us at that point in time. Meaning that when I get up, if I'm not here today, somebody else is going to be here tomorrow. As you know, I just lost my little brother, my second little brother, within the last couple of months. It was really, really a hard time, and it's still, it's still not easy, because with my mom, I'm the last child, and my mother had to get right back up and go to work. She had to go get right back up and go to work within the next week or two. There was no compassion. She had to tell them, I just buried my second son. They didn't have any, there was no remorse. It was like, when do you come back to work? When are you going to do? Well, you just took off for COVID. You had COVID.
This
You
is what
already
they
took
said
off.
to her?
You already took off for, you basically already took off for COVID because you had COVID. Your
Wow.
son just died. So, basically, like, when are you coming back to work? This, like, affected me.
Hmm.
Where are we in the mindset that we're not even in a time that we feel other people's pain and understand that we are human, we are people, we are affected, we have to sit down and take in everything that has happened to us. And a
Hmm.
lot of us have not had time to grieve, had not had time to process a lot of things that happened to us, but then they want to make money on mental health.
Oh yeah, it's a racket. It's a racket. I was told, by family members, take the children to therapy. They need counseling for grief and da 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 da. That's not what helped us get over. Tapping in helped us get over. You understand? Having these fire talks by the fire, tapping in the spirit and nurturing our spirituality as a family is how we healed, how we got over.
And
So
it
the answer
right.
can be with you have to understand the nature of the beast. Anytime you're dealing with an entity that has a calcified pineal gland, they cannot relate to your emotion. There's no empathy and compassion there. Look at the history of what these entities have done on the planet.
So let's break that down. The calcification of the pineal gland. So the pineal gland is a small, but strong and very important piece of the brain that actually helps you get the melanin in your skin. It creates melatonin. It actually helps you with the melanin. It also gives you a higher sense of spirituality with the Father in order to be connected, knowing who you are. It also helps you connect with your higher self, meaning that you walk into the royalty of who you are. A lot of us have a pineal gland, but unfortunately, because of the toxicity within the earth, whether it's the elements, whether it's drinking soda, whether it's eating toxic food, or being around toxic people or traumatic
Mhm.
situations, have calcified the pineal gland, so we can't reach that higher element of who we are as far as ourselves. So that right there in itself is a part of reproductive justice. And I'm
They
pretty
put
sure.
fluoride in the water to prevent us from having prevent us to prevent us from perceiving spiritual phenomenon and to keep us chill, to keep them from doing anything. We're just going to, you know, slowly poison.
Mm.
We dealing with high level witchcraft right now. I'm sorry, I'm putting it out there, sis. That's what it is. Because some people have a 500-year plan for how they want society to flow. But when you're dealing with the people like us that have been displaced in our own home, this land, and abroad, we're displaced in space and time because his story they gave us wasn't the story, wasn't our story. So we really don't, all of us don't know who we are exactly. I'm still getting downloads. Every day is something new. And I asked for that because it was important to me to know who I am essentially. Who am I in my core, in my space, identity?
Mm. I'm just so grateful for what you just said. We do. I was gonna. Well, actually, I'm still in the process of, talking to people about the core.
Mm.
The core of who we are is so, 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 so important. And understanding that core. So I love that you talked about that. I love that you brought that up and understanding. And in order to understand, sometimes we have to go back.
Mhm.
And it's not always going back to the past things that hurt you, but looking at cause and effect and being real with the situations, but moving forward with that. So that means that even as we talk about us and ourselves and understanding the core of who we are, wouldn't you say that a part of reproductive justice is not allowing another entity to walk in its higher self consciousness, or self spirituality of who they are, recognizing that we are a people who are of royalty and that we're connected to the Father, and that blood is royalty within itself? So, elevating the mind spiritually and
Hmm.
consciously and walking as queens and kings and not just the word of mouth, meaning that kings, real kings protect their kingdom. Real
Hmm.
kings know how to treat a queen.
True.
And so does a queen. She does the same thing, and she's not going to allow harm to come to her kingdom or to her status
That's
as
right.
far as being royalty. Meaning that we protect not just ourselves, but we protect everybody else that comes with ourselves that's a part of our connection. And that's a great divine connection.
That's
And
right.
to me, connecting with your higher self, understanding that how we are connected to the Father, that is royalty, and really that is actually heaven on earth. That
Yeah.
is that's divinity.
Hmm. That is. And it's something that you decide to have in the moment, in the here and now. Not something we're waiting on, because I'm not waiting. When I cross that threshold, that gateway into my home, oh, I'm in the kingdom right here, right here. Yes.
Wow, wow, wow. Would you like to elaborate more on what you do as far as bond and how you educate the women on our connection or their connections with the womb as they're pregnant?
Okay, so I try not to go in there like the dictator with an agenda, because it's a meeting, but it's more like a gathering. That's the vibe I wanted to give today. And I want them to decide. I want us to decide as a collective, where is our focus? What's important to us? We live in this community. What do we want to do? What can we create? Because it's like I'm trying to put you in touch with your power. This is your neighborhood. We can have any kind of event. We can have a project. What can we do to make where we live a better place? And so I'm throwing questions out there to stimulate thought, to create new paradigms, because that's where our solution is going to come from. These divine ideals that we manifest together.
Wow. Wow. And so you're looking at it and from a perspective of not just educating them about how their baby is important, how they connect, but also how we will want our worlds to look or our
Mhm.
environments to look for the baby.
Yeah, I named this circle, this program, "Babies Open New Doors," because, and I know you experienced this as a woman. When you have a child, you're a new creature. You're not the same. Hormonally, you are different forever. You will. It's a rite of passage that we go through, and so we kind of get lost sometimes. That's why I think women get postpartum, so-called postpartum depression. It's the hormonal imbalance. But what brings you back to yourself is focusing on you. You're still, an entity, or you're still a nation unto yourself. And sometimes we get isolated because we're not coming out of the house as much. And it's important to link with other mothers, because you're not alone, but you might start feeling like you're alone and you don't have that support. So this is bringing you out. Hey, yeah, you had a baby, y'all come out. Toddlers, babies, you're welcome. We had some children there. So yeah, it's creating a space for you as a woman, as a mother. You're a new manifestation, but you have purpose, and this is who you are. Now, when it comes to breastfeeding support and doula support, I'm there for that. I'm not a lactation consultant, but I am a breastfeeding peer counselor. I've got that certification, and I'm a certified doula. So if someone has questions, I'm definitely there, but I try not to dominate what we're talking about. I'm listening to them. Some of the conversation was talking about exotic dancing today and baby daddy stuff, and but I kind of always lead whatever we're talking about back to taking some accountability. How did you show up in the situation? Well, you chose them. Let's talk about it, because I did some choosing myself.
Yes, and that goes right back, and it's so important that we talk about those things because that does go back to reproductive justice, is
Mhm.
accountability, and we talked about that. I think we touched on that a little bit earlier on the phone today, and it
Mhm.
was about how we as women we show up, and that we have to take accountability, meaning that we have a high statistics within the African American community of abortions. We have a high statistics of, single mothers. Single mothers, we actually should be running the the world right now, especially in the United States. We have the highest rate of single mothers
So yeah,
right
most
here,
of our homes are single parent homes
our
now.
single parent homes. So that comes with the issue as well, but at the same time, it comes with the accountability of us not to keep going out there repeating the same mistakes, but to hold accountability so we'll have the wisdom not to walk back into the same situation,
Mhm.
to be where we are as single mothers.
You know,
And
it was my sister. You know, sis. She was the one to pull my clothes. I'm like, dang, I keep getting the same type of dude. You know, she was like, it's you. You the same. You walking into these relationships the same. There's some things that you need to address inside of you. And then
mm,
you'll start attracting a different type of man. And that's very true.
it does, because a lot of times it starts with self.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with something within ourselves that we gotta fix or we gotta look at to see what it is that we're
Mm-hmm.
putting out there, or we're accepting this type of man.
Yeah.
That and that goes back to the divine status of understanding who we are in order to walk into a higher status of divinity, as well as it still affects with reproductive justice, because what we don't realize is that as we're impacting our children's lives, we're impacting them not being having that bond with that other mate. So it's three. It takes
Mm-hmm.
two people to create one child, which is three.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that we get back to understanding our important role within that and holding ourselves accountable so we won't keep repeating the same mistakes.
That's
So we
right.
can have a lower what is it, abortion rate. We don't have to deal with birth control. We don't have to deal with all these other man-made things that keep us from not, giving life when we were actually naturally put here to reproduce.
Yo, you
Reproduce.
just reminded me of something. My first child, mind you, I'm 21. I'm happy to be pregnant. I'm married. You know what I'm saying? I go into the doctor, and there was this nurse with this stupid hat. I'll never forget. And she was one of us. So, what are we going to do to prevent this from happening again? And I looked at that woman and I said, what do you mean? I'm happy to be pregnant. Well, don't you want to do other things with your life? I wanted to say a whole bunch of four-letter words, but I just told her, I said, well, I'm in college, I'm married, I just ran it down to her because I'm proud of myself. But after a while, I stopped talking and I looked around and it was just us in there, and we just going in there like cattle. You know what I'm saying? We just going in, coming out. I just stood up and I walked out. I was done. I had my baby at home in East Africa on the floor in my bedroom, and it was exhilarating.
Wow.
I was totally turned off by the Western medical industrial system. I was done. I was done.
Wow. I'm so sorry that you had that experience. And that was your first child?
My first child, and it was Riverview Hospital in Detroit on Jefferson. Hmm.
Wow.
So this is how they see us. This is how we see us. Cause you are me and I am you. This is how I'm looking at the lady. But
I like how you said that. I am you and you are me and we are you. We're each other.
we
If
are
we have a problem when we don't look at each other like that, especially us as women. So what affects one woman should affect us all. And
absolutely.
I'm affected by that.
I was so inspired when I saw how Senegalese women have all these associations, and African women, period. They have lots of associations, women's associations, women's group, and how they support each other, and how they're economically empowered because of their women's associations, and they're not looking for nothing from nobody else. We need that. We need to stop looking at each other like competition, even when it comes down to a man. Now, let me tell you something. I ain't never shared no man. You understand? My parents been married for 54 years. It's just been the two of them, as far as I know. However, I understand polygamy has its place. Historically, in times of war, we did that so that all of the sisters, everybody, and women and children were accounted for. Now I'm out here and I see what's going on. You know what's going on. We know what's going on. I'm not really accounted for. You understand? I don't have that protection. I don't have that covering. All right. Once upon a time, I said I would never be in a polygamous union. But now I'm looking at it a little bit different because I was saying that from a space of like physically, I don't think I want to share. Somebody might be nasty. I don't know. Or he might spend more time with her. Okay, to hell with all of that. I want to survive, but I don't want to just be with anyone. It takes a special kind of brother and sisters to make that institution of polygamy work because it does work for some people. It does. And it's a
Mm.
lot of us out here pretending and playing and snapshots on Instagram and stuff. We polygamous, we poly, da 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 da. Well, what are you producing? What are you producing? And can we do it just can you do it with one woman? What are you creating with her before you want to bring in somebody else? Because y'all making a lot of mess and the children are suffering and they're looking at it and they're growing up not understanding morals. Because it's 2022 and don't nobody care about morals anymore, but morals will always matter.
I don't know about you. I don't know about some of these other people out here, but I'm always about morals, ethics, and values. Okay.
Period. Period. It's the basis of culture. And as a woman, it's our responsibility to be keepers of the culture. You understand? Because we set the tone for the household. Household sets the tone for the community. Community sets the tone for the nation. You understand? So there's a man, heavy is the head that wears that crown.
I like that. Heavy is the head that wear that crown, and that we as mothers, we wear that crown. So this show today, again, if you're just tuning in, this is the Mother's Place with Mama Joya Santiago. We are here talking about reproductive justice and things that affect us as far as being mothers. Again, I'm going to read this definition of what reproductive justice is. And reproductive justice is the human rights to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and parent the children we have in safe, sustainable communities. So anything that comes with coming up against mother as being healthy, having a healthy baby, being able to build relationships with our children, being able to have great, good food and water within our communities, anything that comes up against us as being mothers and being, great mothers. I'm talking about mothers that walk in purpose, mothers that not just walk in purpose, but that connect with their children, have that bond. Anything that comes up against us as being mothers, we should have a problem with. We
Definitely.
should have a problem with
You just
anything.
said a word too. You spoke about women that don't have children. So and that touches my heart because a good friend of mine didn't want to come to the motherhood meeting because she doesn't have children and she doesn't really want children. And it's so okay
It's
for you to
okay.
feel like that. You don't have to do it. Matter of fact, she's such a help and a blessing in my life. Like she'll take one of my children out just for that one-on-one time sometimes because I'm fighting for time. And when mama got some free time and some money, we doing the group thing. Let's go, y'all. But she'll say, oh, I'm gonna take this one to get to the cafe or whatever and take this one shot. And I love that. Just because you're not a mother, just because you haven't physically had a child, doesn't mean you're not a mother. You're a mother of the community.
Yes.
You're a support to, women that may not have support. Hey,
Yes.
you gotta big up the aunties.
What? Can we
Seriously.
say that one more time? Wait a minute.
You
Wait,
gotta
wait,
big
wait.
up the aunties.
Big up the aunties. Just because you don't have a child, but the aunties always fill in. Wait a minute. The
Mhm.
aunties, the godmothers, the
Yeah.
women who step in. I used to be a babysitter back in the day. I'm pretty sure Leslie might be watching this and she might be watching this later. We talked this morning. I used to watch her kids for free. I used to love babysitting. I used to love kids. And I still love children today. But I used to babysit for free. And we do need to embrace that, even other people, other women who may not be mothers, they too have mothers. So they
Mhm.
know they add value to this conversation as well. And they
Absolutely.
add value to the community as well. So that was definitely a great shout out. A great shout out. A big up to the aunties. Big up to
Mhm.
the aunties.
I
I
got
like
got a big up for Don Tanae. I love you. You are valued. I missed you today, and you are a mother of the community. Period.
awesome. I am so grateful that we are having this conversation today about reproductive justice and talking about within this everything that we talked about sisterhood. Sisterhood is definitely a big thing within our community. What can we do more as a community to embrace, build, and strengthen the sisterhood that comes along with being. Because one thing that we do have in common is that we're women. We're
For real.
women, we have mothers, and we had to have had a mother in order to be who we are or be where we are today. So, how can we do more of coming together and embracing that sisterhood like this? Can you tell me something about the is it the Senegalese women when you were in Africa that you noticed about their sisterhood and that we
Well,
can actually implicate within the US?
I'll tell you, when I was in Africa, I was in East Africa. I got a chance to observe Senegalese women and how they associate through my daughter's father. He's Senegalese. And just watching his mother and how she moved, and we can definitely emulate it. It's going to take us being comfortable with being vulnerable to us. And we don't want to do that. Oh, I get along better with men. We got to stop saying dumb shit like that. I'm just saying, we have to love us. We have to embrace one another. We have to put down the petty and the jealousy and pick up the I love myself and you're a reflection of me, so I love you too. I told a sister today I love you. I never told her that before, but she showed up today. Her children are they ain't even little no more. They 13, 18, but she came because she's still a mom. She's still a mother, and it just felt good to have her support and to see her there and what she contributed to the cipher. Like the last, I think it was the new moon, I had to get together because kind of the women I talked to that day on the phone, we were all feeling like this heaviness and a little depression. And I was like, y'all, let's just get together. Let's talk. Let's have a sister circle. So they came over to the crib, and it was my first time with these women in my home. Like they're not women I associate with. This happened through Facebook and over the phone. And we showed up, and it was hard to go home. It was hard for people to leave because the vibe, it was so good. So I believe in us. I believe in our sisters. I do. And some
So,
sisters have hurt my feelings. Let me tell you, treated me bad. You understand? Recently, I got
mm,
ghosted by somebody I loved, a sister that I identify with so strong. Won't answer the phone for me. Nothing happened. And I'm hoping she's okay.
right, right, right. So basically, y'all heard it right here from Mama Joya Santiago. Something that she picked up within another culture, another environment that we can actually duplicate and implicate within this culture or in this society is sisterhood.
Oh, and
That
you
means
look at it all around the world. When there's a political shift to take place, the women will pop it off. The women will end wars. Like, all right, we're not fighting no goddamn war. Ain't nobody, we bonded together. Who gonna shoot down the mama? Nobody. Nobody. And once we realize that's the kind of power we have, some shit gonna change here.
mm, mm. I'm trying not to get emotional.
I don't know. Me too. I
I'm
had to.
sorry. I'm trying not to get emotional right
But
now.
this has been building. We've been talking about this ever since you and I started building again and vibing. Like, okay, it's time. We've been talking a lot. We're talking too much. It's time to do every day. Seize the moment. Take the time that day. I'm make change here. I'm doing something to improve my life, to change my environment, to make it better. Or I'm gonna create something new.
I just felt like when you said that, it was just like I got tears. I'm sorry, y'all.
Yo, I can't sleep at night, and I know I'm not the only one. I'm sick of this. I'm tired of the status quo. We are not okay. I know we living our best life on Instagram and on Facebook. We are not okay. Our families are not okay. And the quicker we admit this and be vulnerable to each other, man unto woman, woman unto man, and the children listen to them as well, we can heal and we can fix this. And we can create something beautiful and something that's ours and something that's safe and something that affirms life for us. We don't get a lot of that from this society. And we're not going to get it.
I agree. I agree. I'm just so emotional right now because there's a lot of our young men and there's a lot of our young brothers and there's a lot of our sons who have lost lives, and our daughters who have lost lives because of issues within our society, and that have not been fair, or, issues within the culture as far as, the breakdown of generational curses. Let's talk about it. Generational curses that have directly impacted our children because of some of the mistakes that we have made, whether it was consciously or not, subconsciously.
No other people have dealt with this level of trauma like us. My mother lost two of her brothers to gun violence, to some stuff that didn't make no sense. You understand? And so when it happened to my husband, I didn't see my mother cry. I couldn't cry. And it could have been from the shock of all that happened. It took a sister singing. We have things, we have ancient knowledge that helps us move. We have to move through trauma. It has to move through the flesh. It has to come, it has to be expressed. We have to sing, we have to dance, we have to shout. We have to go back to the way it was. We have to dance by the fireside. Call it conjure, call it what you want. This is the wisdom our ancestors left us. This is the information that's being downloaded again because they ain't went nowhere. We just have to let them in.
I definitely believe in God, and I definitely know that God is definitely connected to us. And I definitely believe that a lot of our people who have went on, they're still here, and that's because of a lot of the gifts that I have. But at the same time, I feel like that we owe it to the ones who have passed to create, to recreate, reshape, and redirect ourselves, so we won't keep repeating the same cycles, keep repeating the same things that has been broken within us for so long. It was a Carolyn, I think her name is Jennifer Carolyn. We talked about this the other day, and
Mhm.
she said that we in our 40s, we in this area, we are supposed to reshape society right here, right now. Everything that we have learned, we should be going forward within that in order not to repeat the same mistakes and pass it on to the next generation
Mhm.
so they would learn from us not to do the same things.
Yeah. And
Because if
what to do. Like, for a lot of us, there was no rite of passage. We didn't understand what that meant coming into womanhood. So there are these cultural norms that need to be recreated for us. And as mothers, that's our job, for our children. We can't do it for the boys like the rites of passage, but fathers can. It's still a lot of brothers out here that are good, that are here and available to their community, and we just need to rally around them and support them supporting us. I have a lot of good brothers in my life, a lot of good men in my life I'm proud of.
that is me too, me too. I really do too. That I can pick up the phone and call.
This
They
is a
can
good
listen.
time for me to tell you what we're getting ready to do in Detroit because it's going down April 9th in Detroit. And it's private because we had to do it this way. But it's a community call to action and memorial tribute for Baba Yale and Joma Yale. And that was my deceased husband. And he did a lot of work in the community, like the working with the health department and teaching people about sexual STIs, STDs. And he did a lot of that work. He did a lot of work in the schools with violence prevention because it was serious. He lived in Detroit in the 80s and a lot went down. We lost a lot of people. So these things are still issues. So we just need to add a little fire to it and make it real in 2022. Like, yeah, remember this man, remember this work. It's still work that needs to be done. It's still work that is being done. It's brothers out here and sisters that are, and we invited them. Hey, talk about what you're doing so people know. It might not get a lot of publicity online with, glitter and all of that shit that we don't need, but it's worthy because this is a saving grace. This is what we need.
I am so honored that you came and you visited us today, Mama Joya, to talk about reproductive justice. I am so honored that you are going forth in the work that you were purposed to do on this earth to educate us about the importance of motherhood, the importance of mother, and that you stood in the fire even after the death of your husband. We have been through so many things, and I know some of your story, even the story of how we met.
You can speak on it. It's okay because I feel like my life is my testimony.
Yes. So I want to share something with everyone that everybody probably did not know or had not known. Um, what year was it, Mama Joya, that your situation happened in Detroit?
That last situation,
Yeah, the situation where I spoke at the event.
okay, that was 2015. Hmm.
Okay. So in the year of 2015, there was this big situation that was all over the news where there was a kidnapper who had kidnapped a lot of different women. And it just so happened that he kidnapped his last victim. And his last victim just happened to be Mama Joya. The incident was all over the news. It was all over TV. We had so many political representation, so many people of politics. If you know anything about Detroit, everybody was talking about
Hmm.
this situation. And one of my girlfriends told me that was one of her girlfriends. And I was like, "Are you serious? It's all over the news." She said, "Yes, she's creating this event called A Woman's Worth, and she needs a MC."
And I
And
came up with the name because, and a lot of women might not admit this, but when someone tries to take your womb space and they have not been invited in, it can make you feel worthless. I had some serious self worth issues behind that. Am I still pure and clean? Am I still beautiful? Or maybe no one wants to be with me because I went through this. So,
it was very traumatic. Kidnapping. I'm not sure how far it even went within the kidnapping, but of course we know rape is involved when it comes to men kidnapping the women. You know, it was a serious situation.
I learned a lot because, especially about human trafficking, because he took me to where it was happening, and he was like, "Well, I won't let them take you because I already been paid, but you got to do this or that. You understand? And I'll take you home." I didn't want to get in that white van with them people, so that's really a big deal. That's really happening, and nobody is talking about it because it's us, you know, that's being taken at these.
This situation was so serious, and she needed an MC, and the girlfriend introduced her to me, and I was actually the MC for this event. I was so honored that somebody who had just been kidnapped wanted to still be community, wanted to still give back to her community. Even though she didn't speak, she allowed me to come up there on that stage and be the voice for her for that whole program
And
where we
thank you.
had you're
I
welcome. No,
never
it was
said
an
thank
honor.
you.
It was
I
an honor.
had so much to say. I know that I couldn't get up there and be poised, or I would
It
have
was
lost it.
it was an honor. It was definitely an honor. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that situation in order for us to meet. But it was one of those Kairos moments where I was supposed to meet you at that time.
Yep.
Who would have known that that happened in 2015, that in 2018 I myself would be kidnapped and raped? Um,
You couldn't make this shit up. I'm gonna say that. I could not believe it when you told me that.
and I remember just coming back to you and saying that a lot of things were given, a lot of knowledge, a lot of information, a lot of brothers stepped up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, even Sankofa. Sankofa is in Detroit. Shout out to you, Sankofa.
Yeah.
You'll always be my big brother. I don't care what nobody say. But he even stepped up to help me with wanted to give me self defense classes. It's
Mm-hmm.
so important that we as women we take self defense classes. Um, but at the same time, how to survive through situations like that.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, I was kidnapped and I was raped, me and my son. And it was definitely a serious situation. And to go back and tell Mama Joya, like, I appreciate you. So I just want to say I appreciate you for not just holding yourself in within that situation, but sharing it with other people so other people can learn how to get healing and actually come forth with that and be able to be a testimony to that so we won't keep walking back in the same situations. We have to learn how to come together out here and to be a sisterhood and stop being quiet about the things that haunt us when we're alone, about the things that haunt us when we're in physical violence relationships, abusive relationships, dealing with domestic violence. We have to stop getting into our households and locking ourselves up and being mad at our children because we're mad at the world or we're mad at the daddy. We
Mm.
have to learn how to get up out of ourselves and reach out to a sister, reach out to somebody that we know is going to give us some great information or lift our heads up, or get to a therapist. Get to therapy. Get to therapy. Build more of these sister circles. So, Mama Joya, again, I just want to say that I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, for coming forth with a woman's worth, because a woman's worth is definitely necessary, and it's necessary for a time as this, because this woman and those women are our future generation of being mother. So thank you again for what you do. Thank you for your organization, the connectability, everything, and I look forward to seeing more of what you do in the future. So do
Thank
you
you.
have any You're welcome. Do you have any last words?
I'm not gonna stop. I'm not gonna stop.
Don't. Don't. We need you.
And you put that back into my memory about, some people didn't want me to talk about what happened. They said it would be too negative, and it was too much negative stuff. But I took a picture of myself that night after I made it home to my children, because they thought I was dead when they heard that gunshot. They thought I was dead. And come to find out, this brother was stalking the neighborhood, hitting single mothers. And so many of the women were quiet because he said, if you don't tell what happened, I won't come back. He was only 21 years old. This is somebody's baby, somebody's child.
This was this was somebody else's baby. This is somebody else's child.
Hmm.
So I hope you all looked at this show today and got something out of reproductive justice, what is going on within our community, and you want to make a difference. If you do, make sure that you reach out to Mama Joya. Mama Joya, please give them your contact information. It could be your Gmail that they can
Wait a
contact
minute.
you
Listen
if
here.
they want to donate.
I got a public phone. I put the phone number out there all the time. It's 256-945-2749. I got a private phone too. Now, if you want to donate to Earthlight Health and Holistic Wellness, our website is www.earthlightholistic.org. If you'd like to email me, it's Joya Selassie, Selassie at gmail.com. I am in Facebook jail. Every time I come out, they put me back in for nothing. So I don't know. I can't make no promises. But I'm on Instagram, Sun Lotus Holistic Services, and Greenhouse Foods, my catering business. So I am able to be reached. You can reach out. I want to build serious inquiries only, because I can see right through the BS. So, come ready.
Thank you so much, Mama Joy,
Thank
and you
you. I
have a
love you,
great day.
Shayna.
I love you too, sis. I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. Thank you so much. And I'm going to end the show. Bear with me one moment. Oh my God. Oh my God. I told you guys I was very ecstatic about the show today. Today, our show was a little bit serious. Matter of fact, it was a lot serious. It was serious about a lot of different issues dealing with reproductive justice. If you watch this on a replay, watch it 2 times, 3 times. Share it with your friends. Share it with your girlfriends, the sister across the street, the one that you were speaking to, your mother, grandmothers. We need to build more sister circles where we as women, we come together and understand that anything that comes up against us as a society that harms us as being mother or being an effective mother or our children should be an issue. And the only way that we're going to understand what's really being harmful to us and harming us or get better is to reach out. So, reaching out means connecting and bonding with sisters. We are the women and the mothers of today who are educating, uplifting, re strengthening, and rebuilding and helping create a better world by effectively communicating and showing action to the mothers of tomorrow. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is Shayna Asby signing off with the Mother's Place with Mama Joya Santiago. But until next time, have a great day. Peace. I love y'all.